Yes, it's a great pleasure to have you both here. And I think we already got a very good insight on what IBM and what test systems are planning in the world of quantum computing. So maybe could you please, since the topic of our discussion is called Building the European Quantum Ecosystem, can you maybe summarize what is in your understanding as IBM and as test system European quantum ecosystem, which serves the needs of European companies, and how this particular collaboration contributes to this? Maybe you can start, Heike.
Sure. I mean, building an ecosystem up and building an industry up is something which we are, working very, very hard on it, and it needs all the different players on it because it needs go through the entire stack, right? It's a complete new system. You need the skills, you need the technology, you need the supply chain, you need, therefore, all the partners working together, whether it's the academia to further push and advance, whether it's the industry, also to take some risks and be an early starter, and also the government who supports, in particular in this early phase, to create the full ecosystem. And I think we are at a good start. I think also over the last 7 years, a lot of different things have happened, whether it's about education and the academia also accelerating and advancing the research and the development, but also in all the different parties working together, right? There are industry associations which have started, Bitkom has become active, QTAC has become active, right? Where there is also getting more clarity on what the industry really needs and wants, what the different partners can contribute to it. So I think setting up all these gaps which are needed, but then also filling these gaps together as a community is something where a lot of things have happened. But since quantum computing is also not something which is just a sprint, right? It's something which will take much longer. I think for me, it's actually a start of a new compute system, which is like going back in the 70s, where you had the semiconductor technology and industry being developed. I see it similar to the ecosystem and the industry which is right now developed.
I'm probably adding two things towards that European angle that you talked about. I don't think that when we talk about European, we mean as European only. I mean, this is a global IT for sure. But the two things I would call out in terms of European is, on the one hand side, I think Europe has a very distinct and specific, and something I'm proud of, approach towards data privacy, data protection. That's what we are building into that because it's not only AI, where data and how you deal with these outcomes are of relevance. It's also in the quantum space, definitely, for sure. And to think that from the very first day onwards, I think there's a long history and tradition within Europe to deal with it in a way that I think is also very relevant for our people and society. And the second piece is I think Europe needs to make sure that we don't fall behind. And fall behind in terms of technology advantage, but also in terms of using it, applying it. And if we don't invest into it as Europe, we will not be able to maintain a good momentum for society, for industry, just by using Asian or US technology pieces and then somehow hoping that it will materialize in our industries. So we really need to invest into our research capability, and that to me is a second super important European angle that we are playing in that space.
So perhaps I can add on this because I think that's a really very good point. I think Europe in that regard is always also at the forefront when it's about security and also the sovereignty. And then also when we, for the first computer which we brought from the US to somewhere was actually in Germany, right? And also under the condition of data sovereignty and all that. And this is also for us the reason, as I mentioned before, that we are putting more investment also in Germany to build up a data center in Inningen, where we also have the development lab, together also with the partners when we have started this together with Fraunhofer in 2021. And now we expand this and with new partners, right? So I think that's really something where we can use the different strengths, because there is a big strength also in Europe on the on the research and development in quantum.
Yeah.
I mean, quantum is something historically where Germany also was very strong and Europe was very strong. And combining now the academia with startups and with industry is really also making the innovation really going very, very fast.
Yeah.
So you mentioned already the need for the demand for this more secure and also you spoke about digital sovereignty approach in Europe. Have you identified this as a need of European industry to have this access to this European cloud? And you already also spoke about industrial needs. What are other industrial needs that you, or users' needs that you identified and you address through this platform that you're building together?
So perhaps I can right away answer, right? I mean, the industry is, of course, also concerned to have data in various systems, right? You kind of want to control where your data is, where you do certain calculations, what is known by whom. Mm-hmm. And therefore, that's at least what I've seen is that there is definitely a strong interest to have the compute capability already now here to be used by the industry.
Mm-hmm. Do you have something to add on that, Jörn?
I think that's very crucial, and there is like a second thing I hear is about quantum security and quantum connectivity, and many people will rightfully say, yeah, but this is not quantum computing, but for the people thinking about that in industry, that comes together and they want to have answers for that one. For example, we do have a quantum lab in Berlin, actually, that we opened up also to address that from quantum security down to quantum computing. Mm-hmm. And also in here, we would invite everybody to like spend time with us to help, because something that's adding security both on the technical side and on the how to apply it side, and then having the good foundation for that one, this is that is a real concern of industry when it comes to quantum in general, mm-hmm. and how to apply that we want to address with that.
And I could add here, I think when this was already at the beginning, right? But I think now where we are coming closer to the quantum advantage, it will become, I think, even more critical, right? That people want to have the compute capability here, and have it like, you know, at systems in Europe, in Germany. Yeah. And so I think since the field is moving very, very quickly, and there are new compute capabilities which are being made available, and the things which I've shown from the error mitigation part, you know, we're already in a phase where you compete with HPC, mm-hmm. and where it's getting closer and closer and closer. And so I think and for these systems also to provide then also this compute capability further and provide access is something very important, because the industry needs to get started, right? I mean, I would say before it was like, okay, it's fun, it's cool. I mean, you mentioned also the cool technology, but it moves actually from being only a cool technology into something which becomes also valuable. Yeah. And so you need to get ready for it.
Yeah, so speaking about getting ready, Jörn, can you maybe elaborate how specifically you support companies who come to you who probably don't have experience with quantum computing? What specific offers you provide or services you provide to support them on this path?
Yeah, happy to. So on the one hand side, we very actively play the ecosystem, and everybody in there we invite to do that together with us. So from initiatives like Bitkom or QTech or other initiatives, I still believe this is the power of the quantum ecosystem, that many people approach it very openly, open-minded and collaboratively, and we are a huge part of that one. And if somebody wants us to be part or wants us to open a door, that I think is the first thing we as Deutsche Telekom can offer in many of these areas. Second thing is the technology access via cloud to go to quantum computing systems, predominantly IBM systems, but also others. I think that is a field where you have different technologies. You want to have easy access to that one. That's something that we provide. And last not least, the whole application and use of it, like helping companies really to get your head around, like, how do you start dealing with quantum? How do you have your people to be trained, having people from our side helping companies to unlock the potential by discussing and then doing first use cases, trying it out, and then identifying even things that are hybrid or quantum inspired, but then still deliver a value. And by doing so, helping companies to really unlock the potential of quantum. So these three things, like the ecosystem, the technology, and the use cases, these are the services we are providing.
And so I think that's a very good point. We are also over the last. We started actually in 2017 to build up also the so-called IBM Quantum Network, where again you bring together big industries, startups, academia to work together in a network, right? And I think that's a similar approach.
Yeah.
And this really helps because there's a lot of exchange then also between people. And on the other hand, we also have our research experts who work on algorithms and applications and the theory to then also be able to directly collaborate with partners and clients. And so it depends very much on what someone needs, right? Someone wants to just get your feet wet. Someone wants to really work on things. Where can I apply it in my industry in the future? What are specific use cases which may help me in generating value in the future? And then working closely together with these partners is also an option.
I would like to go back, like you, Jörn, mentioned also in your presentation, that you expand in this ecosystem and you also work on integrating new partners.
Yep.
So if there's already certain partnerships you can talk about or about timelines, can you say what are other systems that you're working with, what are other offers apart from IBM, which is of course, like you mentioned, very advanced at the moment.
Yeah.
So can you maybe elaborate there a bit? And if there are European and currently developing or being developed German quantum computing systems included?
Yeah, so we've had a few press releases out lately on European, and there are more to come. I don't want to call out specific ones. I put some logos up there. But I think this year we will add a minimum of 5 partners into that ecosystem to have broad solution access, and then many more on the solution side on top of that one. And I think that's really a very powerful momentum because it expands these like the learnings and the things that people really do when applying it into exploring different technologies to one, like ease of access, consulting, use case, exploration and things like that. Always being able to both work with very reliable technology, if that even anyone can say in quantum space, but mature, let's call it mature systems, but super explorative ones as well. This is, I think, more than 10 to come this year with 5 key technology providers.
It's very exciting. We do have a little bit time left. I would, before maybe asking closing questions, I would like to ask the audience if there are any questions to Heike or to Jörn right now that you would like to clarify. Yeah, no? I think I saw something over there. Nina, you can, if you can speak loud, maybe that will be already helpful.
You have shown the systems you are using so cryogenic technology. So it's the qubit, need a very low temperature and so on, right? In the last year, has been shown that qubits can be generated also in large bandgap semiconductors. So they work in room temperature. It's CMOS-like technology. So are you thinking about going in this direction?
So there are different systems, physical systems, which you can make qubits with. Semiconductors, there is the NV centers in Diamond, for example, right, which are used very successfully for sensing today. And that may be something in the future which can be developed and would make sense. What I see is from the superconducting qubits that we have a very good way of how to scale these things up, as you saw also in the roadmap which we laid out. Also by 2033 we want to build a 100,000 qubit system, which is quite a thing. And the cooling technology right now, if you would have gone 30 years back, it's kind of a challenge, but it has also developed over the last 30 years very much into a system which is, which is engineering. There is not a physical limit in that space. So I think right now this we don't see as a blocker in the road, the cooling system. Because the nice thing of the superconducting qubit is also that you are in a superconducting state, and you have almost a dissipation-free system when you have cooled it down.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we need to wrap. Look, there is maybe time for one more question. Okay, I see one more hand.
Hi, thanks a lot. I also have a question for Heike. Do you have a roadmap for logical qubits as well? I understand error mitigation is very powerful, but overall we would also like to have error correction.
Yes, we are also working on error correction, of course, and we are also doing, the research community in general is also working on this, but we did not yet put out a roadmap for it. But as you can imagine, we are working on it, and we see, however, that it's not really a step function, that it's useless before, and then only if you have it fault tolerant and error corrected, that quantum computing is useful. But we really see that there is a continuous path by making use of error mitigation techniques.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to thank Jörn and Heike for their contributions. And you're very welcome to chat with Jörn and Heike about the offers from IBM and test systems and see how you can start with quantum computing today. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here. And we will now switch to our next slot. Yes. Thank you.